Now available in paperback and coming to Kindle Unlimited. John Haynes, Dark Succubus. The man who rules the world is tempted by a sultry succubus in this all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get John Haynes, Dark Succubus in paperback or pre-order on Kindle Unlimited today. I was reading a report on CBS News that stated that almost half of all Americans work in low-wage jobs. And according to the report, 44 million Americans between 18 and 64 are employed in low-wage jobs. And this took me back to 1994 when I was going to Monroe College, and I was taking a course called Organizational Behavior. And in that book, Organizational Behavior, I learned that this was predicted to be the future for the American worker. And at the time, it stated that the average American who did not have a college degree would be working for anywhere from $4.25 to $7 an hour. Now, if we adjust those numbers for inflation, we see that the $15 to $16 an hour that is the minimum wage at the higher levels is adjusted for inflation just about $7 an hour, or $7.25, an hour. And this fits right in line with everything that was written in that Organizational Behavior book. And this is the big problem with the American economy. Even though we have a low unemployment rate, the big problem is that most of America's workers are not making enough money to make ends meet, because most of the jobs we have created here in America are low-wage jobs, and because we are creating low-wage jobs, this is going to put America's economy in neutral for a longer period of time, because if those people who are stuck in these low-wage jobs cannot increase their ability to make more money or develop better skills, then what's going to happen is, as the economy continues to go into neutral, that means we're going to have a stagnation of wages, and we're going to have really big problems, because if people are just working from paycheck to paycheck, then that means they cannot go and move themselves forward in life. And this is what's happening to a lot of 20-somethings, 30-somethings, and even people my age in their late 40s. We want to move forward in our lives, but we cannot move forward because either we can't find full-time jobs that out here at all, or we cannot get full-time jobs that pay a decent wage and allow us to go out here and do things like really contribute to the economy by doing things like getting our own apartments, going out here and buying cars, or going out here and becoming homeowners, because the number of people going out here and buy new cars is at an all-time low. The number of people going out to buy new homes is at an all-time low. And those are indicators that really show us what a strong economy looks like. Unfortunately, due to the mismanagement of America's economy, we don't really have enough people out here being able to go out here and make enough money to buy those new cars, go out here and buy those new homes, and go out here and really start building their life. And this has hurt Gen X, Gen Y, the Millennials, Gen Z. All of those generations have been hurt by this mismanagement of America's economy. And if you have most of your Americans working minimum wage and low wage jobs, then there is no way to build a strong and competitive economy. And that's something most Americans aren't thinking about, especially those in government. They don't understand that if your American workers are part of what is looking like to be a growing underclass, then you're going to have problems with your economy long term. And this is why we have all of these issues going on, like the growing homeless population, because the homeless population is growing because, not because people don't have jobs in some cases, because there are working homeless, and there have been working homeless ever since I was part of the AmeriCorps project to help homeless adults in 2001. And that problem has gotten worse because we have the rent too blank high because so many speculators are in the market as related to real estate, inflating prices to absolutely absurd levels, and that keeps people from being able to go get out of their parents' home, because a lot of kids are stuck in their parents' home, or there are 4 or 5 people living together, or what's happening with a lot of landlords right now, they're finding that people will save up enough money to get first and last month's rent, and then they will sit there and pay a little here and there, and then they will string things along in housing court for close to a year, 2 years, or 3 years, and then they will eventually just wind up leaving that place to go live with somebody else. So the whole big problem with America's economy is that we don't pay our workers enough, nor do we put enough investment in our workers so that they can live a comfortable middle-class lifestyle. And many corporations, they are so busy hogging in the profits that they're not thinking about taking care of their people. Now, some of this has to do with a lot of these small retail businesses and small businesses just not having enough money to pay people, but the larger corporations, I believe, do have the money to pay people, but they just don't want to give that type of money to people, not understanding that if you invest in your workers, like Henry Ford had stated many years ago, and they have enough money to buy your product, then you're going to be able to have more money, because if they can go out here and buy your products and spend money at your company, then they can go out here and help build a strong economy. Unfortunately, most American businesses are so busy trying to be cheap, either trying to hire the people they can get for the lowest wage, or trying to import workers through things like H-1B visas, that they don't see the damage they're doing to the overall American economy. Because if Americans aren't making a decent wage and have ability to advance like the Chinese do, then what happens is most Americans get frustrated, they get very angry, and they don't turn out to be productive workers. Instead, they become passive-aggressive workers who really don't care about the company because they don't believe the company cares about them, and they don't have incentive to go out here and do better or be better because they believe there's no real room for them to get anything or do anything. And that's why we see so much apathy and misery these days out here as related to working people, because they look at the world of work and they really don't see any sort of hope for them because of all of these low-wage jobs and no real way to advance, and they don't see a way for them to move themselves ahead. And that's something that's really frustrating people, because most younger people want to do things like buy that brand new car, like go out here and buy that house, or even in some cases, for some people, just move out of their parents' home, but they can't do it because the job market, while yes, there are so many low-wage jobs out there, there aren't enough jobs out there for working-class Americans who want to get a good job that pays a decent wage to go out here and make enough of a living at that job. Moreover, these jobs don't even last long enough for someone to be able to start picking up momentum and working towards building a life for themselves. Because a lot of these jobs these days, they don't last like they did back in the 60s, where a person could literally go to a company and have a job for life. No, these days, when it comes down to these jobs, you're lucky if you can keep a job for a year, or you're even lucky if you can keep a job for 2 to 3 years. And in that time, it's not enough time for you to save up enough money to go out here and do something like have enough money for a deposit for an apartment or have a down payment for a decent car. These are things that people want to do out here, like myself. I want to go out here and do these things. Unfortunately, America's job market, while it has all of these jobs supposedly on the low level, a lot of times they don't pay enough for anyone to go out here and do anything substantive with them. So this is the big problem with America's economy. And if you have almost half of your population working low-wage jobs, then you are going to have an economic collapse sooner rather than later, because you're going to have all of this glut of housing where you have people with these absurd prices of $300,000 to over $2-3 million homes. But who are you going to sell those homes to? Because most of the Americans don't have that type of money to pay for them. And we see this in the auto industry right now, where they are struggling because there's nobody there to pay $80,000 for a brand new car or $500 for a car payment when you barely make under $1,000 a month at a job. So we really in America have to get real about our economy. Yes, you have unemployment at an all-time low, but the real reason why unemployment is at an all-time low is because it no longer counts people who lost their jobs in the Great Recession like I did back 10 years ago, because they're no longer a part of the unemployment statistics. And while those 20 million people still remain out of work, they still cannot contribute to the American economy in an effective manner. So this whole issue of the job market has not been resolved, because we have so many people who are underemployed and long-term unemployed, not able to contribute to the job market effectively and constructively, or go out here and make enough money to go out here and do things like buy new cars, go out here and buy homes, or move out of their families' apartments or family homes. Things that adults were able to do easily in the late 1970s and the 1960s, where an 18-year-old could practically finish high school and then be on their way. They could get a nice good job at GM or one of the plants out here, and they could make anywhere from $15 to $25 an hour. And on that job, they could, at 18 years old, have their own place. And by the time they were 21, they were ready to go out here and buy their own home or put a down payment on their own home. Now, kids today can't do that because the economy is in such tatters, and a kid at 18 years old is in college right now, and by the time they're 21, and they come out of college, even with a major in something like business, there's still no real job for them to get started with their life. And because they can't get started, the American economy really can't kickstart, and we really cannot build the strong middle class that allows America to really be great. So there's the big problem when you have half of your citizens working low-wage jobs. They cannot contribute to the economy. They cannot go out here and, again, buy those cars and homes that build strong communities. And they cannot go out here and have children to build strong families. And that all connects, again, with the declining birth rates. And the only way we could get those birth rates, again, to go back up is to invest in America's men and go out here and invest in Americans by giving them a living wage so that they can go out here and build those families and go out here and start having an incentive to have children, because people don't want to have children if they can't afford to have children. And America's job market today makes it where most Americans don't make enough money to take care of themselves, so they can't really even think about going out here to think about having children. But sadly, most Americans in business and government can't see that all of these things connect to each other, and as long as you have half of your population working in low-wage jobs, then you're going to have an America that is half productive and does not actualize its potential at being great. If you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to pick up some of my SJS Direct publications and help me be able to make a living, you can pick up my books like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, the John Haynes series, the Spinsterella trilogy, the Thetas, and my men's issues books like The Man Crisis on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle formats. Every purchase helps me continue to stay on the air and pay for the internet. And that's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Coming to Kindle Unlimited this April, E-Steam Goddess of. Hell's aspiring angel takes on a demonic dominatrix in this all-new E-Steam series adventure. Pre-order your copy of E-Steam Goddess of on Kindle Unlimited or pick up the paperback today.